That's it.
Whew. Yeah. This is a monster experiment. We have grown potatoes here probably, I don't know, 4 times maybe. Early on, we bought some exotics. We bought things like the fingerling potatoes and all that sort of stuff, and we actually did really pretty well. It was a makeshift bed, and got a really decent selection of potatoes out of it. Lots of potato salad that summer. It was great. And then from there, it was downhill, to be honest, because we got a pretty good crop that year, and we were confident that we could get a better one the next year, having improved the soil and all that sort of stuff. But even though we changed beds and stuff so that we wouldn't be dealing with growing the same veg in the same spot multiple years in a row, it just seemed to get worse and worse. We had, I don't know, sometimes I think we had trouble watering, other times we had too much water. One of the problems we have is that other people take care of our garden during part of the summer, and generally speaking, most people here are clue-free when it comes to gardens. Hi, are you checking out? This has got to smell amazing. Bone meal, blood meal, all kinds of good stuff. Anyway, so this year we were thinking about whether we should try potatoes again. Last year we had a huge amount of trouble with wireworms and grubs of an assortment type. And basically if we planted potatoes, we wind up with, you know, a couple of potatoes per plant, and the rest of them would all be full of holes and yucky and eaten and stuff like that. So I actually didn't grow any potatoes last year because we just decided it wasn't worth it. We were spending good money on potato seed, and to be honest, we've had trouble getting potato seed that was in good shape. This year's potato seed, it's okay. The problem we have is we can get really good stuff online, but they want me to grow a really large quantity, like 25 pounds or something. And I'm like, I don't want to donate that much of my garden to potatoes. For us, it's not a staple crop. It's a treat. It's something that we use for potato salad and for new potatoes. Henry and I both grew up in New England, and new potatoes have always been a big treat. And all that is a small potato that you boil and eat with butter. And sometimes gravy if you're lucky. So we decided this year we were going to do some more investigation, see if we could figure out maybe another way to do this. And I watch on more than one occasion, lots of times, UK We Grow. And Tony does some pretty cool stuff, and he has a whole stack of videos on how to grow potatoes. And he did some pretty serious trials where he grew the same kind of potato literally next to, like, he had one set in the ground and he had another set with buckets, and then he just literally weighed it out to see which one had done better, and he was very surprised at how well the buckets had done. And I said, well, what the heck? One of the things he mentioned was that it eliminates the problem of wireworms because it's in a bucket, it's not in the ground. So I'm like, okay, we got to try that. And then I went looking for buckets locally, and that was a giant disaster. Everybody wanted to sell me a flower pot. So we went online and found these, and we're going to give it a try. We'll see. These are supposed to be sturdier than your average bucket. So I'd originally planned to start these last month in the greenhouse, but that didn't happen. So here we are today. We've decided we're still getting frost at night, but we've decided we're going to start them out here anyway, and we can cover them with plastic if we know that if we've actually got stuff up and it's starting to be problematic. So what Tony does is he takes a mix of stuff, and his goal is to create a mix that means he doesn't have to fertilize at all again before he harvests. Now, I watched his video again and checked this stuff, and of course it's materials I can't get in the United States. But we're going to try and approximate it. All he's trying to do is come up with a natural, sustaining fertilizer compost mix that's light and airy and all that kind of good stuff. So we've got some mushroom compost. I've got some potting soil. We figured we'd throw a little of that in. We've got our seed potatoes. We've got blood meal, generalized vegetable fertilizer, and some bone meal. He also was using some bioactivated stuff. I don't have any anymore. I know where I can get some, so I may get some later and water in it at the top. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it up in here, and then we'll dump it in here. We're trying to avoid having too much come out the holes. So we're probably going to put a little bit of ground cloth sort of stuff in there. I have some pieces cut up in here like this. This is a cheaper version of what we used under here. And but if I put this in and try and stir it up the way he did, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna mix it in here instead. So first things first, we're going to try and get up. Yes, that's the only trouble with working all day, is you then find out how tired you are. So we'll open up some compost. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these a bit at a time so that there's a chance it'll go all the way through. I always put clips on the top of these. This has one of those nice resealable things, but as I learned a long time ago, nice resealable things often don't reseal properly, especially when helped along by kitties and doggies. I'm going to sprinkle in some bone meal. That even came with its own spoon from when I was using it to put on the bulbs last fall. A little bit of, I don't know that they're calling this organic. It's probably just semi. There was nothing weird in it. I did read what was in it, and I was like, okay, it's mostly pretty natural stuff. And I will never learn to love the smell of bone meal. It stinks. And you can smell it on yourself for about 2 days afterwards, even after you've showered. But we're hoping that this will do the trick, as it says, to give us a good mix that will... Can you hand me my hori-hori, please? Oh, actually, this one's broken up over here. I knew I had it upside down for a reason. It's right there. Thank you. I have the bag upside down because I noticed the bag had a hole in the bottle, which is pretty normal. I couldn't decide whether something had decided to eat it or whether it had just decided to rip for good measure. Okay, so all I'm going to do is sort of mix this up. And then pour it in here. But we're going to see if we can plug up most of the holes so that the water will be able to go out, but not the compost. So I'm being a bit fussy. I don't usually get this fussy. My husband suggested I be this fussy today, so I'm going with it. If I was just putting this on the dirt, I wouldn't worry about it at all, actually. But we're setting it onto this nice little pad that we've made with all kinds of protective devices involved. So we don't want the dirt to get down inside more than we have to. So that looks like it's going to work. Cool. If anybody's paying attention, they'll notice that this says Creamy Swirl Roll Icing. And the reason it says that is we get our buckets for free from the local grocery store. They give them away in the bakery department. Okay, so I have about 3 or 4 inches of soil in the bottom of this now. And I'm going to choose a couple of spuds, and I'm only going to allow the chits. These are chits. This is where the eyes are sprouted. I'm going to allow the ones on the top, and that's it. Scrape off all the other ones, because we only want a couple. We don't want it wasting its efforts to do a bunch of other ones. So I'm going to stick 2 of these in here, opposite one another. I'm literally just using my fingernail to scrape off the eyes. I'm trying to follow pretty closely what Tony does in his video, and we'll see. It's giant experiments, so what the heck. So I'm pushing those down in there, and then I'm going to fill in with more compost. Now my 2 potatoes that I put in are here and here, so I'm going to put 2 more in here and here. Okay, not the best looking, fanciest looking seed potatoes I've ever had, but what I could get. So now I'm going to put just a little bit of, I'm just barely covering this right this second. I'm going to put a little bit of the veg and tomato fertilizer here. It's sort of a slow release thing, on the theory that it will water down. I'm tapping it down a little bit, but I'm not packing it in. And I'm totally winging it in terms of quantities, so there we go. We want to have it down at least an inch below the edge of the pot, because when you water, you want the water to all be able to go down inside. You don't want it to roll off the top. Okay, bucket number 1. I'm going to do all 5 buckets like that, and then we're going to set them out in a row here. I'm going to change the irrigation head over there, and we'll run some sort of lines to each one of these buckets. Have to decide what kind. Since I've never done this, I have to think about it a little bit, but I think I'll just probably put one right in the middle that waters the center of the bucket, and the water should diffuse just fine. Okay, Henry, you want me to help me move this one? I don't know how heavy they are. Let's see. Oh, that's not bad. I'm so used to heavy buckets that this is pretty light. Okay, so bucket number 1. There we go. Ta-da! And it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes, because we've never done this before. Certainly the results that Tony O'Neill gets in the UK are pretty fantastic, to say it mildly. So we're going to see if we can replicate that, and we will keep you posted. Hopefully this will inspire you to try this yourself at home. You don't have to have anything fancy. His goal is to get enough fertilizer in there so that he doesn't have to do anything except water it for the whole rest of the summer. If you don't have fertilizer on hand, we specifically went out and bought some while we were buying extra compost. I would just try what you have, but keep track of what you did so that you know later on, and if you have any issues, you'll know what went wrong. But I think this is a great opportunity. You could do this literally on a patio somewhere if you wanted to. And this size pot is also great for growing a couple of small tomatoes, or you could put 4 peppers in here. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to get out there and grow some of their own stuff. So I'd like to challenge everybody to take this opportunity to try something new, because we're trying lots of new stuff for 2019. So we'll keep you posted on this, and there'll probably be periodic updates, and eventually at the end of the season, or whenever we harvest, we'll be dumping these out and actually seeing what we got for potatoes this year, because we know what we got the last time we grew it in the ground, and it was pretty bad. So until next time, see you later. Could have tucked in my string.